corporate press is either burying or fundamentally misinterpreting. First, the Breakthrough Listen project dropped their report on 3-2 Atlas. The lead? No radio signals detected. The mainstream media is already taking a victory lap, trying to convince you that silence equals a natural object. Case closed, they say. Move along. Second, Dr. Avi Loeb from Harvard just published a fresh analysis of Hubble Space Telescope data. What he discovered isn't just a glitch, it's a geometric pattern that simply does not occur in nature. And third, we are officially 72 days away from Jupiter. We are 72 days from what may be the most significant astronomical encounter in our history. Yet the public is being instructed to look the other way. If you're watching this, you already suspect the official narrative is hollow. You've been tracking the data. You noticed the blue shift. You saw the impossible trajectory. You know 3-2 Atlas isn't behaving like a common space rock. And today, we have visual confirmation of its propulsion system. This isn't a theory. It is geometric proof. Welcome back to the Distributed Observatory. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because what unfolds over the next 72 days will redefine everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. You need to be here for every update. Let's dive into the signal and the silence. The myth of the silent rock. Let's start with the big talking point, the silence. Yesterday, Breakthrough Listen released their initial findings on 3-2 Atlas. For the uninitiated, this is the premier scientific program searching for extraterrestrial civilizations, backed by Yuri Milner and the late Stephen Hawking. It is humanity's most sophisticated effort to find techno-signatures. They aimed the Green Bank telescope, one of the most sensitive ears on the planet, directly at 3-2 Atlas. They swept billions of radio channels, searching for the narrowband transmissions that only technology creates. After 48 hours, they concluded, no credible radio signatures detected. The skeptics are cheering. They're using this to hand-wave away the velocity, the orbit, and the chemical anomalies. Their logic? If it were a ship, it would be calling home. It's quiet, so it's a rock. But that logic is a failure of imagination. It's human-centric thinking. Why are we listening for radio? Because that's what we use. We leak signals into space because our tech is inefficient. We're still shouting into the dark because we haven't learned how to whisper. If 3-2 Atlas is an autonomous reconnaissance probe, why would it blast an I am here signal in the middle of a mission? Stealth is the objective. If you send a drone to scout a site, you don't attach a loudspeaker to it. You run silent. You collect data on biological markers and technological capacity, and you store it locally. As I mentioned in my last update, the transmission window isn't now. It's 72 days from now, once it reaches its secure relay point. Jupiter, March 16th, 2026. The triple jet structure. While the radio telescopes heard nothing, the optical telescopes saw everything. This is the real story that got buried on January 2nd. Dr. Avi Loeb, the former chair of Harvard's astronomy department, published an analysis of high-resolution Hubble imagery of the 3-2 Atlas nucleus. When a standard comet heats up, ice sublimates into gas and escapes through random cracks. It's chaotic, like bubbles rising in a boiling pot. There's no structure to it. But 3-2 Atlas isn't bubbling randomly. The Hubble data shows what Loeb calls a symmetric triple jet structure. 3 distinct plumes are ejecting from the equator, spaced exactly 120 degrees apart. Not roughly 120 degrees. Exactly 120 degree. That is a geometric construct. Nature doesn't do symmetry like that. Loeb's team calculated the odds of a random, fractured ice crust developing perfectly symmetrical vents. The probability is statistically 0. If this were a natural rock, you'd see a random scattering of vents. 3 jets at 120 degrees isn't geology. It's engineering. In aerospace, we call this an RCS, reaction control system. To stabilize a spinning object in a vacuum, you use symmetric thrusters to cancel out wobbles. It's basic engineering used on the ISS and the Space Shuttle. Remember the rotation data? 3-2 Atlas is spinning at a perfect 7.74 hours. It isn't tumbling. It's stable because it has an active stabilization system. Those jets aren't outgassing. They're exhaust ports keeping its sensors locked on Earth while its main engine pushes it toward Jupiter. The thermodynamic coolant dump, there's more. New spectroscopic analysis shows a massive spike in water production after the object passed the Sun. On November 6th, as it moved away, water production hit $3.17 times 10 carat, 29 molecules per second, in a natural comet. Water production peaks at the hottest point, perihelion, and then drops as the object cools. 3-2 Atlas did the opposite. It waited until it completed its solar flyby, then dumped its water in thermodynamics. Water is a perfect coolant. If you just ran your engines at full power for a gravity assist around a star, you're overheating. You need to flush the heat. Or you're shedding mass to make your final braking maneuver at Jupiter more efficient. Either way, it's a controlled release. The Goldilocks pattern, we see a pattern here where every data point lands in the narrow window that makes natural explanations impossible. Chemistry, a nickel-to-iron ratio that is the inverse of every comet ever measured. Rotation, a metronomic, non-wobbling spin. Geometry, triple jets at perfect 120 degrees intervals. Trajectory, hyperbolic velocity on a laser-precise intercept for Jupiter. 8T, what point do 5 impossible coincidences become less likely than one simple assumption? That it's technology? The shift in 2026, the scientific community is struggling because they don't have a probe box. They only have comet and asteroid. But 3-2 Atlas has the tail of a comet, the acceleration of Oumuamua, the geometry of a machine, and the precision of a spacecraft that we are seeing two curves intersect. Our detection tech is getting better, and the frequency of these interstellar visitors is increasing. Skeptics claim we're just seeing more because we're looking harder, but better telescopes should make things look more natural, not less. When we looked closer at Mars, the canals disappeared. When we look closer at 3-2 Atlas, the rock theory falls apart. The silent observer people ask, if it's a probe, why doesn't it land? Why no message? That assumes we're the target audience. When a biologist observes a wolf pack, they don't walk in with a megaphone. They watch silently. If 3-2 Atlas is here to catalog our technological signatures, it wouldn't announce itself. It would run dark, collect data, and transmit only when it reaches its relay point at Jupiter. The silence isn't a failure to find life. It's operational discipline. What the military knows while the media prints no signal found and goes home. This community, the Distributed Observatory, is digging deeper. I've received hundreds of emails from you. Amateur radio operators picking up static bursts that align with Jupiter's position. Satellite trackers noticing military spy satellites, suddenly reorienting. They aren't looking down at Earth anymore. They're looking up. The NRO and other agencies see the same Hubble data we do. They see the symmetry. They know March 16th is the date. Governments don't announce first contact until they have no choice. They keep the panic low while they reposition their assets. The final 72 days, so here we are, January 3rd, 2026. Everything feels normal, but there's an underlying tension. If those jets are thrusters and that trajectory is an intercept, we are sharing the solar system with an active intelligence right now. Silence is actually the most chilling part. If they were shouting, we could negotiate. Silence implies we are the sample in the petri dish being measured. My predictions, the wobble correction. Watch for 3-2 Atlas to stop flickering. If it locks its orientation for the Jupiter approach, its light curve will go flat. The mainstream pivot. Watch for the media to stop using the word comet and start using anomalous interstellar object to soft launch the truth. The Jupiter spark. On March 16th, watch for the Io plasma torus to light up. If a high-energy propulsion system hits that plasma, it will create a bow shock visible even to backyard telescopes that I don't want to be right about this being a threat. I want to be right about the truth. The data says machine, stay focused. If you have a telescope, track that light curve. If you have radio gear, monitor 10 megahertz to 30 megahertz. We are the backup drive for human history. Would you like me to draft a set of specific observation protocols for your community to use during the March 16th Jupiter rendezvous?